What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Dylan back with another reaction. And today, this video actually came out a while ago, but it popped up on my YouTube recently, so we're gonna watch it today. Basically, how the Monaco F1 track is built. Monaco is one of my favorite tracks, like just visually. So I'm kind of curious.
How
It's
do
a
you
street
turn
track.
the glamorous streets of
I'm
Monaco
curious.
from this into this? Nestled in the heart
Who
of
crashed?
Monaco from this into this. Nestled in the heart of the French Riviera lies one of the most iconic racing spectacles in the world.
It was in cars too.
One weekend only, thousands of fans descend into the tiny principality to watch 20 Formula One drivers navigate the tight streets.
Next year is gonna be 22.
At heart racing speed.
Oh, I can sub now. Hi YouTube, you can sub now, gang.
But the Monaco Grand Prix isn't just a prestigious race, it's a transformation. Thousands of temporary structures are constructed in order to host the event. This includes the pit garages, hospitality suites, media centres, grandstands, and so much more. You've seen Red Bull's iconic energy station before, haven't you? Where
No.
Daniel Ricciardo did his post-win.
Oh, that's what that was?
Well, that's also a very complex temporary build, but we'll come back to that later. To put in perspective just how big of a transformation it is, Monaco has a population close to 36,000 people. It's estimated that over 200,000
Bro, I want to move to
people
Monaco.
will arrive into the country, more than 5 times its population. So
When I retire and I call it a day with whatever I do in my days, bro, and I'm done making content and streaming and all of that, and I'm ready to be an 80-year-old old man, I'm moving to Monaco.
the question is, how do they do it? And how do they do it in just 6 weeks whilst keeping some of the busiest streets in the country open for its residents? But before we get into that, since when did Formula One race at Monaco? Racing in the Principality began on April 14th, 1929, having been organised by the president of the Automobile Club de Monaco, Anthony Nogues. He now has a grandstand named after him. The winner of the first race, William Grover Williams, drove a Bugatti Type 35B, and he pocketed a whopping 100,000 French francs. It joined the F1 calendar a little over 20 years later in 1950, with the maiden winner going to Juan Manuel Fangio, a man who would go on to win 5 world championships and become one of F1's most decorated drivers. Not long after, British driver Graham Hill became known as the King of Monaco after winning it 5 times in the 1960s. But for most F1 fans, when they hear the words Monaco Grand Prix, they think of Ayrton Senna. He holds the record for most victories at the street circuit, that being 6.
The greatest
including
Brazilian
5
F1 driver
consecutive
of all
wins
time.
between 1989 and 1993. The track layout has had a few modifications in its 74-year history, but what has changed the most is everything around it, making the setup operation
It's such a
much
tight
larger.
circuit, though. I hate
The most
driving
obvious
it.
example of this is the safety standards. Until 1969, when the first Armco barriers were installed, if a driver went off the track, they would crash into whatever was there. That
Damn.
be a building, a tree, or even a lamppost. They pretty much just raced on the normal streets minus the parked cars. Thankfully, by 1972, the circuit was almost entirely Armco lined to make sure the whole track is protected, both for the drivers and the spectators.
This, all of this is now these yacht party at Monaco is probably lit as shit. Hey, Detroit, you still in the chat, bro? We gotta get a yacht and do this. At some point in our lives. I gotta be on one of these right here. Or not even right here, just I gotta be on a yacht from Monaco, bro.
21 kilometers of safety rails are installed, around 1 kilometer of Tech Pro barriers, approximately 20,000 square meters of wire netting, over 3,000 protection tires, and finally 800 fire extinguishers, one for every 15 meters.
I was about to say
of track.
800
And then
fire
during the
marshals.
race itself, there are more than 2,000 people situated around the track.
Okay,
This
2,000 is
mostly
even more.
comprises of volunteers like the marshals and stewards, but also people like police and doctors who are paid. But considering the circuit hasn't
Wait.
changed
The marshals and stewards don't get paid?
much, so the corners are still tight, but now the cars are much bigger, it remains a very dangerous track for the drivers to navigate.
Literally no passing.
Carrying on with the
bro.
theme of safety, the roads need to be perfectly smooth. Any imperfection in the 3.37km track, which the drivers reach a maximum speed of 290 kilometers per hour
one
on,
pothole, you're
could
dead.
cause a very serious
cooked.
accident. Something the new
GTA.
Las Vegas street circuit knows all too well. Rightfully so.
When he was it Carlos Sainz that sucked it out the ground? If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Carlos Sainz that did that. I remember it was a Ferrari who hit the manhole
FIA
cover
have
so fast
stringent
and sucked it out the
standards on
ground.
what condition the road needs to be in for the race weekend.
Sorry, I had
But
to
this
get
creates the first logistical dilemma. The streets the drivers race on are used every day by the residents of Monaco. So in an effort to cause as little disruption as possible, in the 4 weeks leading up to the race, they do most of the road resurfacing at night time. Each year, they usually resurface around a third of the track. The roads are also a lot more accessible than other street circuits. Each day, the roads are closed somewhere between 6 AM to 7:30 AM, but are back open between 6 PM and 9 PM. Even though it's a small window, this still allows for some passage through the track, unlike street circuits like Singapore, which are closed for the whole race weekend. Just below the pit garages, they literally have a nightclub on the track which anybody can walk up to.
Wait, what? I want to do that.
Unlike street circuits like Singapore, which are closed for the whole race weekend. Just below the pit garages, they literally have a nightclub on the track which anybody can walk up to.
Is this in Singapore or Monaco? I want to do this. This looks lit.
As we've already touched on, one of the main issues with setting up a Formula 1 race in Monaco is its size. It's smaller than a lot of people realise. The whole country could fit inside New York Central Park. This means that there's not a lot of room to build all of the temporary facilities on site. This is why most of them are brought into the country by over 600 trucks and trains.
Shit, bro, they could just race the whole country.
In Nice and Italy. Another benefit of being built away from site is that it also reduces the setup time. The whole operation begins roughly 6 weeks before the race. The pit garages specifically arrive in 120 different sections, which a crane pieces together almost like Lego. By the time they're completed, they provide teams with the same technology and needs as their permanent counterparts at other tracks. Michael Ferry, who is a vice president of the ACM, said the biggest challenge is building the race control tower. Inside of it, you have TV, FOM, FIA, ACM, emergency services, and so on. That's a lot of people with a lot of different
Okay, yeah, that one sounds
The
stressful.
1,000 tons of grandstands are also, of course, temporary. Due to the nature of being a tight street circuit,
They
there are a
built
limited
a
amount of places
temporary
to build
pool.
them, which means Monaco has the smallest capacity of all Formula 1 races at just 37,000. The amount of people watching the race, though, is much higher, as hotels and apartments overlooking the track all sell their balconies. These packages may be less affordable for the average F1 fan, though. Then there are, of course, the iconic yachts lined up in the harbour section of the track, which again, don't come cheap.
Yeah,
But one
I
of the
gotta
most
be there,
mind-blowing
bro.
temporary structures at the Monaco Grand Prix is the Red Bull Energy Station. Red Bull's Energy Station became an iconic part of Formula 1 when Daniel Ricciardo did a celebratory belly flop after his win at Monaco in 2018. But
I
many
love
fans
Daniel
aren't aware
Ricciardo.
that this is also a temporary structure. When designing the energy station, Red Bull needed it to be transportable as it's used in 9 different locations across Europe. But also, it needed to be built in just 32 working hours. To reach these goals, every part that makes up the build is packed away in order, so when they are unpacking it, that part can be added on straight away to maximise efficiency. For example, every load-bearing beam can be attached within 7 minutes. On top of that, most of the cabling and infrastructure is already pre-built into the walls. The build becomes even more remarkable when you realise that 250,000 kilograms of timber, 48,000 bolts, 85 windows and 15,000 kilograms of glass are assembled in less than a week. Building the energy station for Monaco, however, adds one more layer of complexity. Due to the space restrictions in the harbour, the energy station has to be built on a floating barge in Imperia, Italy. It then has to be hauled 20 nautical miles down the Mediterranean coast to Monaco. At this point, the harbour master and a team of pilots help steer the 300,000 kilogram barge past the expensive yachts and into position. Finally, the team on the ground comes in to make sure it's ready to host the drivers,
sail it
teams,
back.
and VIP guests. This includes 40,000 cans of Red Bull, a kitchen to deliver 13,000 meals, and also the F1 cars on show. I was lucky enough to visit the energy station in 2022, and it really is as cool.
You were lucky enough to go to Monaco. Fuck out of here.
As you think it would be. And just like that, the tiny country of Monaco builds enough infrastructure for nearly 6 times its population, hosts a Formula 1 race, and within 3 weeks returns to the glamorous streets that billionaires from around the world call their playground. The atmosphere that fills the streets around Monaco on race weekend is unlike anything I've ever experienced. Often walking around the streets is more...
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. What other ones does he have? There's 9 more. Singapore. Like 8 total. Singapore, Coda. Ooh, we're just gonna add all of the... Wait. Hold on, we're gonna do... Hold on. I'm stealing more of these. We'll do this one. Just so we have all 3 of those. Okay. I'm gonna leave this one here, chat. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, I will see you all. Or if you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And all my other channels and Twitch and everything is all in the description. So don't follow all the other things. It's like 7 things. So you'll never run out of content of me. But anyway, I hope you all enjoy it. I will see y'all in the next one.